you ever stepped into a space and just felt the luxury around you, but then at a second glance, you realize the pieces in here aren't actually that expensive. So what's the trick? Well, it's not about what you buy. It's about how you style what you have. So by the end of this video, I will give you 3 designer tips that will make any space feel effortlessly luxe without breaking your walls or your bank. So if you're ready to make your home feel very posh, this is the video for you, and let's get started. Hi guys, I'm Louie. I'm an architect and interior designer. I've been in the design industry for over 20 years now, and I am obsessed with contemporary spaces and smart, functional design. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead, hit subscribe, because we have new tips coming every week to help put your home together. And without further ado, let's get into tip number 1. Tip number 1 is to create space. No, that doesn't mean a huge budget or adding square footage with a reno. It just means that you're going to place your furniture in a way that's going to amplify the space that you have. So start by pulling furniture away from the walls and bringing them into the room, maybe, grounding them with a rug and creating a designated space that way. But by pulling them away from the walls, you just added a ton of flow and circulation to your room. You just gave breathing room and you created negative space. And I say this all the time. What is not there is just as important as what is. And negative space is one of the key characteristics of luxury design, because every time you see a place that looks very luxurious or elegant, it's also a little empty, but that's okay because we don't want clutter. We want things to be intentional and clean. And that's why you're going to start by creating space. So here's a little trick to think about. The reason we all love hotel rooms is because they're calm, collected, and they're never chaotic like our homes. So the thing we want to do at home is edit. You want to look around and see what's just kind of cluttering your space and what's not bringing much purpose. If there are things you use and are useful to you, you've got to leave them there. But some things are really unnecessary, so just clear them out. And when you look around, you'll realize you've created more space and you've just made your home a little bit more elegant. Before we jump into tip number 2, I want to give you some quick swaps that will actually make your space feel so much more sophisticated. And I promise you, it's all about the little things. So one little thing that we're going to change is your soap dispenser. You're going to get rid of the plastic bottles that you got at Target. You're going to buy yourself a glass or ceramic soap dispenser that looks so much better, and you're going to place it on your sink. And you'll realize that immediately everything looks so much better than when it had that plastic bottle with neon liquid just yelling right back at you. The next thing you're going to switch is that you're going to try stop using plastic or paper at the dinner table, and you will use fabric napkins and placemats because you are a full-grown adult and you deserve it. I promise you, within a few weeks, you will not want to go back to paper and plastic because it will feel so much better. It'll turn dining into a much richer experience. The last easy switch that you're going to do is change out your lampshades. Now, lampshades over time, they start to yellow, they accumulate dust, they can stain, so they're just not looking their best. So go ahead, choose something like a linen or a pleated lampshade and put it on your lamp. Even if it is a budget lamp, I promise you, it will look so much better than it originally did, and it will revamp your space. So that is my last easy swap to make your space feel more elegant. We are now ready to move on to tip number 2. So tip number 2 is layering texture and not just color. Texture might just be one of the most underrated tools in your design belt because it will add depth, it will add warmth, and it will create that visual interest that will make your eye travel all over the room and make it just so much more sophisticated. Now, when I talk about adding texture, I don't mean going wild with a bunch of bold prints and colors because it can get messy pretty quickly. You can actually keep it very clean and monotone, like all beige, if you layer it with texture, right? I don't recommend it. I always like to mix up a little bit more of the materials, but it does work as long as you have texture. That is how important texture is. Now, what you want to do is think about how you can mix materials in your space so that it can become layered and not flat. One thing you can do is think about where you're going to add your linens like curtains or your upholstered furniture, and maybe bring in metal or stone on a coffee table or a side table. You can bring in warm woods on your furniture and on some of your decor pieces or on some of your wall art frames. And that way, all of a sudden, your room starts to become so much more interesting than that flat, boring space it was before. Here's a mistake I see all the time when it comes to textures and spaces. It is the catalog look. Have you guys heard about the catalog look? Because if you haven't heard of it, I promise you, you have seen it. It is that room where all the furniture is wood, or all the furniture is metal, and it just looks flat and boring. And so to avoid that, go ahead, mix it up, have a little fun, because that, my friends, is where the magic happens. All right, so I have an easy tip to help you apply different textures into your space without, creating chaos. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the 60-30-10 rule, which is often applied to colors, but now we're going to apply it to textures too. If you don't know the rules, 60% is going to be your base color or your base texture in this case. 30% will be a secondary texture, and 10% will be a wow factor, something that pops, something that's a little different. So let's go ahead and think of an example with like a living room, right? So we're gonna go with our furniture upholstered in linen, a big sectional, maybe some accent chairs, and all of our curtains are in linen. So we have our base down. Next, we want our 30%, which is gonna be that supporting texture. Now I'm gonna go ahead and add a wooden coffee table, maybe thin wood frames around my wall art, and then all of a sudden I have these two textures working together. And now to top it off, I want something a little different. So maybe we're gonna go with something cold now. We're gonna go with a stone fireplace mantle, which is super chic, or a sculptural mid-century modern metal side table. And that way, all of a sudden, your room is no longer flat, it is full of texture, and it is easy for you to apply, even though you're not a pro and you just want to get this done on a Saturday afternoon. Before we move on to tip number 3, I want to go over where to splurge and where to save, because I get asked this question a lot. People are always like, oh, I'm not going to redo the whole thing. So, where do I apply my money? Because, budgets are limited and we want to make sure that the big bucks count in the best places. Okay. So what you want to invest in is lighting, because a good lamp or sconce changes the whole vibe of a room. It is atmosphere in an object, and it will do much more than light your space. Lighting will create focused moments and layer your space and make it just visually interesting. Next, you can invest in textiles. That means curtains, beddings, rugs, all the things that you come in constant contact with. They might as well feel good, right? So give your senses something to explore and invest in rich textiles. And finally, framing art. Yes, you are going to frame that art because the time has come. You're ready to have a beautiful home, and it's time to give up the poster tack. Even a print looks gorgeous in the right frame, and I promise you, future you will be grateful. Also, if you need more tips on wall art and how to get it framed, I have a video coming next week, so stay tuned because I will give you all the best tips and tricks to make your walls look perfect. When it comes to saving, you're going to save on things like a console table or a side table because they just don't get as much tactile use. And you can always go with something that's a bit more affordable and style them up. Plus, there are so many gorgeous sculptural options out there that do not cost that much. And the next thing, which is kind of wild to me, is decor. People spend crazy amounts of money on decor, and you just don't have to. I mean, unless it's something that you really want and means something to you, go ahead, go crazy. No one's judging. But if you don't want to spend all that money, go ahead and look at thrift shops, go to vintage stores, go to marketplaces online. On my Instagram the other day, I made a post on all these places you can thrift online with great selections and archives. So there are a vast amount of options out there. Go ahead and explore them. You won't regret it. Tip number 3 is that you are going to light like a pro. Now, I will share a little secret with you. Most of the beautiful, expensive, elegant, contemporary, gorgeous spaces that we look at and see and pin on Pinterest, they have lighting projects, okay? There are people that are hired specifically to do the lighting, to get the right temperatures, to get the right amount, to create all the focused moments, to dim. Basically, it's an art form all on its own, but that doesn't mean you can't apply it to your room or you have to go ahead and hire some kind of professional to do it. There are lots of options that work. So what you're going to do is consider where you can place different moments, right? So you can have a lamp next to your bedside table to make it warm, and bring in a sculptural floor lamp and put it in a corner next to an accent chair to create a reading nook. And I know a lot of people think nowadays that when you talk about lighting, that means, installs and breaking walls and all this stuff. And it just doesn't have to be like that anymore. Today, you have a lot of battery powered lights like sconces, picture lights that you can just peel and stick. It's like a little sticker. You peel it off, just put it on your wall. No extra help needed, and you will gain a ton of light in your space, right? And it's also great for renters. Now, if you want to do something similar outside, you can use solar powered little spotlights that you can place around your patio or your garden. I swear, the endless amounts of options that are available right now, there is something for everyone. So go ahead, have a look, see what works for you, and start layering your light in your space. Finally, the last tip I could give you regarding lighting is to just add a dimmer. I swear, seriously, that one switch will make a huge difference in your space. I'm going to share with you 3 mistakes that I see all the time and that we want to avoid if we want our space to feel luxurious. Okay, so the first thing that I see, and it is surprising how often I see this, is people will decorate their room by pushing all the furniture against the wall. And the more I think about it, the more I realize I think it's because the idea is that if the furniture is pushed away, then you have all the space in the middle of the room. But in reality, it just doesn't work like that because you're killing the flow of your room. You're actually making it look more cramped. And when you pull them away, like I mentioned in tip 1, you gain a lot of function as well as a lot of breathing space. So one thing you can do is anchor it all with a rug. And that leads me to the second mistake I see all the time, which is rugs that are too small. So you want your furniture to at least touch the rug. You don't need a huge rug where you put your sofa, your accent chairs, your coffee table, everything in the rug in like a little box. You don't need that, but you do need at least the front legs of your sofa and the front legs of your accent chairs to touch the rug. And what the rug will do for you is it will create a designated zone and it'll make your space feel organized, especially if you have open floor plans. You will need to use this tactic. Now, rugs that are too small will shrink your space. So make sure you get the rug size right, and I can help you with that on my home checklist. Have a look in my description, and you will find the link to download it below. The third mistake I see all the time is overhead lighting only. So like I mentioned in tip number 3, you want to layer your light. So you're going to avoid just having that center light piece that usually comes with your rental or a basic home. You want to switch it out and think about where you can layer your lights. So you can keep your overhead light as long as you maybe add like some picture lights to your frames or some sconces over the fireplace, or, just kind of play around with it a little so that it's not your only lighting option. And finally, the last mistake I see, and will most definitely not make your space look luxurious, is just cram it full of decor. Just lots of little trinkets and vases and flowers and plants. Oh my God, so many plants everywhere. It will not make your space look sophisticated. What you need to do is edit. Clean it up. Mies van der Rohe used to say less is more, and it stuck around for a reason. So what you're going to do is you're going to clean up all of that decor, and instead of having 7 trinkets, you're going to have 1 tray that's styled with a few different objects. And that way, you will make it feel so much more luxurious. Okay. Now, I know I've spoken a lot about rules, and I think rules are super, super helpful if you're going to need, basically a guideline and a way to just go about the ginormous task of redecorating your home sometimes, or just even redecorating a space is a lot of work. So if you want to know the real secret to making a space look chic and luxurious, it's not a big budget, it's not trends. It's about making the space feel lived in. The best, most beautiful houses I've ever visited were the ones who reflected the people that lived there. If I can leave you with one message, it's not about perfection, it's about authenticity. Leave out your artwork. Put your kids' paintings on the fridge. Put out your guitar. Mix in your grandmother's armchair with a cool new lamp. That's what it's about. It's about making the space feel yours. It's about making the space feel personal. So you don't need to live in a catalog. You don't need to live in a Pinterest photo. And they're not even that fun to live in to begin with. So remember to just kind of have fun with your space. Let it reflect you. That is the best part. And creating and decorating a house is such a journey. So make sure to enjoy it. And remember, the chicest, most luxurious homes aren't the most expensive. It's the ones that are authentically yours. So if you need more help pulling your home together, I have a secret weapon for you. It is my home checklist. It is over 30 pages long, and it is a guide that will make decorating easy and not overwhelming. It really does work like a checklist. It will go room by room. So you have your bedroom, your living room, your kitchen, your laundry, your kids' room, you name it. And if I've missed any rooms and you want it, go ahead and drop it in the comments below and I will get to it. And also you will find helpful guides and schematics for like rug sizes, table sizes, how to hang your wall art. And basically, it's just a free PDF to kind of make your journey a little easier. It's very helpful, I promise. So if that interests you, the link is in the description below and you can go ahead and download it. And also, every week we're going to be bringing new tips. I'm really excited to kind of share how to, change your home, how to change your life by changing your home here on this channel. So if that's something that interests you, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I hope this video helped you in some way. I'll catch you next time. Bye.